What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here, managing editor of Fightful.com for the Fightful.com podcast. August 7th edition. Feels like it's been a little while. I did have a post UFC Mexico City show. Go over and check that out. We talked the Ultimate Fighter 26 cast. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow afternoon with Showdown Joe for the Holy Smokes MMA podcast. But it's been all the way since last Wednesday's The List and your boy since we've had a wrestling podcast. That changes right now. Also, I will have a members-only podcast this Friday. A lot of you have been asking for this show. On each of these shows, I talk about a place of former employment. A lot of you wanted to hear the What Culture story. Not only am I going to tell it, I have a guy who was my editor there, and David Bixenspan, who's going to join me. He's going to talk the Scenic City Invitational, talk about the Hogan Gawker coverage that he's known so well for, that he covered so fantastically, quite honestly. But tonight we got Monday Night Raw, and we got Alex Pawlowski. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Sean?
You seem exhausted.
I am, man. It's working 2 full-time jobs, doing this and being a stay-at-home dad. But I wouldn't trade either of them. But it is exhausting.
Well, there are some times you have to clean up more shit at this job than your other one.
That is true. That is true.
Guys, leave us a thumbs up over on the YouTube chat. Subscribe to us, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, all that stuff. And, of course, head over to Fightful.com for live coverage, discussion, podcasts, all that good stuff. Monday Night Raw, let's get into it. Miz TV is immediately interrupted by Brock Lesnar. And he's got a blue shirt, Alex.
Yeah.
What do you think about that blue shirt?
It feels very SmackDown to me. But that's only because I've been trained by this company that anything that is blue means SmackDown. Otherwise, it's a perfectly fine shirt. But it was just a weird thing. I was like, oh, is Brock going to SmackDown? That was just my first brain, my reptilian brain switched on and was, oh, blue, SmackDown. Brock goes SmackDown? That interesting. And then I was like, no, it's just a funny new shirt.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Everybody seems to wear black all the time. So, hey, whatever. Miz cuts a pretty good promo about kind of mimicking Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman answers back pretty cleverly by saying, do you and your wife like to role play? Like, it was kind of edge of your seat. Like, where's he going with this type of thing, Alex?
Oh, man. No, the thing is that was funny. And then you go, and then that's fine. And he goes, I myself like to role play. And that's where Anna Bauer and I had the same thought of like, oh, God, I'll never get that out of my mind. I'll never, ever, ever get that out of my mind of Paul Heyman role-playing.
Well, ma'am, allow me to show you my beast incarnate.
Oh, God.
That's how it goes down.
Allow me to introduce you to the reigning, defending, conquering, undisputed heavyweight middleweight champion of I'm done.
Oh, man. Just remember, in our business, we always build things a little bit bigger than they actually are. Jesus. So the Miz Taraj is filling the spots of Brock's SummerSlam opponents, and they get their asses kicked. All 3 of these guys took some hardy suplexes.
Yeah. No, they were good, like overhead release Germans that like get a good lot of hang time. Mm-hmm. Those things. I really liked all of this. I thought Miz's promo was excellent. I mean, really, there's nobody else that does what he does as well as he does. It's so good at doing that. And really, like, most of what this business is finding a niche and excelling at it. And The Miz has nailed his down. And I loved like, bad imagery aside, I loved Paul Heyman's return promo. And I liked how he gave each guy characteristics of who was role playing who in the match. I like how Bo Dallas was so intense that he was Samoa Joe, and Kurt Axel had a beard and therefore was Braun Strowman, which leaves Miz to be Roman Reigns. And that was all cute and everything. I did love how intense Bo Dallas was. I like him as being this guy who's weirdly overprotective of the Miz. Like I like that he's like this pit bull bodyguard. That's really cool. Give these guys a defined personality within the Miztourage if you want this to go somewhere. But this was fine and good. Once again, though, Brock shows up for an early segment and then goes back to the hotel or gets on a flight. Like he's just done. Goodbye. Which is fine. I want to see, like, particularly with him and Braun, keep those guys separated for as long as possible. Have them come to blows at SummerSlam and not before.
I was kind of hoping those guys would eat F5s into the chairs.
Because I think you're a sadist, Sean, and it's possible somebody might have gotten stabbed in the liver with a table leg.
Have you ever watched Jackass 2.5 or 3.5, I think it was?
I watched the show when it was on, but never any of the movies.
Oh, you're missing out.
I'm sure I am.
Well, then you won't understand. They're the Bam Margera chair. They could get some of those that just he sits on and it just slowly crumbles underneath his weight. There's director's chairs. You can make that happen. Sheamus defeated Seth Rollins. I would have liked to have kind of seen Rollins and Ambrose just quickly earn their way to a title match, but this emotional investment, I think, is so good, and we'll talk about it more later. This match is really fast-paced, hard-hitting. Sheamus sneaks a quick win, surprise win, I guess you could say, against Seth Rollins, Alex.
Yeah, it was interesting. This whole everything involving this storyline from the very beginning, where Seth is walking down the hallway and he's smiling in a way that makes me think that he's singing to himself in his head, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-a. Like he was way too happy to be just walking down a hallway backstage. And I was like, oh, you're going to lose this match. I actually kind of wanted to see a Seth versus Cesaro match since we got Seth versus Sheamus last week. However, Cesaro did some great work later, so I won't complain about that. But this is all very good, and this is the first time in a very long time that WWE has been doing real great long-form storytelling, point A to point B to point C, where every week there's a new development in this storyline, at least for one half of the guys in this opponent's this feud. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with this. But I like that there's delayed gratification on this.
Rollins goes full douche after this and attacks the guy that just beat him, like fair and square beat him.
Right.
So he had that ass kicking coming to him.
No. He didn't he attack Cesaro because Cesaro distracted him? You know what I mean?
Whose fault is it that he gets?
Right, exactly. No, the whole thing is that I feel like everybody who gets distracted should like raise a hand, like in the NBA when you know you committed a foul. Like, no, that my bad. That's on me. That's me right here. Because you're so stupid, you got distracted by a dude standing on the apron. So yeah, that was uncalled for by Seth. But I think also he was just provoking the brawl so that Dean would come out and save him again because Seth is so starved for friendship. Sure.
Well, Dean Ambrose did not help him. But backstage, Ambrose is mad that Rollins made him look like a jerk. And I like that. I'll heap some praise on recent Dean Ambrose in a little bit, but I like that because it doesn't treat us like fools. Dean Ambrose would be upset over something like that. Like, hey, you made me look like a dick, and I'm not a dick. You're the dick because you did that.
That's true.
I like it. And Rollins says, no, you are a dick. It's been 3 years. I get behind that too. Like both guys have some pretty solid points here. It's like if I were Rollins, I'd be like, we were hanging out at Tribute to the Troops like 8 months ago. You were cool with everything. I know. Why are you so weird?
He's like, because the writers are inconsistent, okay?
It would be great if he said that. So backstage, Kurt Angle is like looking at Curtis Axel, and he's like, Oh no, you're hurt? Shit! And he finds something Goulet. I just know his name is Goulet.
Pierre, I believe, was Pierre Goulet.
Pierre Goulet, who has the Star of David on the back of his singlet.
Well,
he's
that's
like,
because
you're wrestling Jason Jordan now. Jason Jordan, who comes out looking like 1996 Rocky Maivia without the hair. And we get a "Let's Go Jobber" chant. The guy had no clue what Jordan was going to do, and I don't think Jordan had a clue either, Alex.
No, here's I don't know. They announced during the Miz TV thing, I don't know if Michael Cole said it or if it was said by the Miz, that Curtis Axel had a match later that night against Jason Jordan. Then he gets tossed around by Brock Lesnar. Then they have to find some random dude who maybe this guy just brought his tights as he was being supposed to work security, and they threw him in the match because really it did look ridiculous. And
well, let's just say needle in the jobber haystack. What are the odds you pick a French Canadian Jewish guy?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, somebody found out who this guy actually is. His gimmick is basically some kind of Hebrew rabbi. He wears the yarmulke. He's got Star of David.
No, you're doing a story on that tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. But the thing is that what is gained by Jason Jordan defeating a guy we've never heard of who was objectively somehow worse than Curtis Axel? Like how are we supposed to root for this guy when his dad had him in a match against a dude he could easily beat, and then when that guy got injured, it's like, okay, who's the dude I can find who's randomly standing backstage wearing his gear? That guy will wrestle my son. Like I don't know how this helps anybody involved in this story.
This Jason Jordan thing isn't going over too hot.
No, I think the thing that I noticed, and I couldn't get my eyes off of it because, well, that's a bad phrasing, but he keeps talking about tweeting that he's gold-blooded, but in that terrible singlet he was gold-butted because everything in the front was all colorful, but his entire back was just solid gold, and I couldn't. Why? Like, it was just poorly designed. And,
he ain't gonna work as a babyface. Period. Right now, not happening.
Nope.
If I were him, I would. Yeah, you just do the "Hey, my dad runs this place" type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, over on SmackDown,
Chad Gable's getting over losses.
He's killing it. He's killing it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I think that Chad Gable is just like a perfect babyface for 2017.
Yeah.
He's a little undersized, which I think helps him. He can fly. He can amateur wrestle. He can utilize his power. He's got submission holds. He's very versatile. The mic work could improve a little bit, but I think that honestly, the more promos a babyface cuts, maybe the worse. But also, he's not a guy that the WWE is getting behind, because you know how it is. If people see that WWE has their stamp of approval on somebody, unless they're AJ Styles as a babyface, then it goes over a little bit better. I'll say this: Jordan was not softballing tonight. That was not one of the concerns anymore. No. Also, the Toronto crowd did not softball Bayley. This was a mess.
This was brutal.
Rough.
It was really sad. Like, this whole thing makes me sad. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what you do at this point. Like, she's injured, like legit injured. She was working with somebody who's basically a really unsafe worker, and that person injured her.
Yeah, it was proven later in the evening, too.
And you're going to boo her because she got legit injured?
It's Toronto, man.
I know, but that's no excuse.
Which is weird, because everybody I met there was really friendly. What the?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Those Canucks, they can go Canuck it.
A cheap plug for my Toronto video blog that is up on our Fightful YouTube, by the way. Head over there. Check it out. Leave it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it.
the worst part about it was that they were booing her while she was talking about people who were sending her nice tweets and messages.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I'm talking to people who were being nice to me, not the people who were booing me. And then they booed her more. And I was like, oh, Bayley, that didn't help you at all.
Didn't work. Like, she got really flustered, man.
She did. Well, look, you can see on her face, she was really hurt by that moment of people booing her when she was injured. When she was like, I gotta go to Brooklyn, the place where I had my coming out party. And who knows if they had planned on her taking the belt from Alexa in that same building again. Like, who knows what the plan was. But she was going to go back into that building where she became a hero to people and have this triumphant thing, and that's been taken away from her. And the people in Toronto were like, yeah, screw you. Like, yeah, that would hurt my feelings too. You know, like it didn't go over well at all. And it was really sad to watch. I mean, people are talking about, oh, in this next Superstar Shakeup, people might be sent back down to NXT. Do it to Bayley. Let her go down there and be a hero again where people love her. Because up here, it's just not working. People are too jaded on the main roster crowds to like just get behind somebody who's all about positivity.
You got to develop a wrinkle, man. What did you think of Sasha Banks, Emma, and Alicia Fox?
When they announced that there were going to be 2 triple threat matches.
Essentially, it's a tournament.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's two triple threat matches. Winner of each face each other next week. Winner of that goes to SummerSlam. I was like, oh, excellent. Then I thought, hang on. Are there 6 women on the Raw roster that are not Bayley or Alexa? Yes, there are. I counted those 6 women, and I was like, okay. Oh, no. And in my head, before any of it leaked out, I was like, I know who's going to be in each of these matches, and therefore I know who's going to win. And to me, there's got to be a wrinkle in it. You have Nia against 2 baby faces and Sasha against 2 heels, and there was no. I like that they made the matches and the girls worked really well together, and for the most part, they were good matches to watch.
Alicia didn't. Man, she was rough this evening.
She had ring rust, but still, I'll always mark out for her Northern Light suplex. Anyway, for the most part, I thought they all did a very good job, but there's something you could have done here. Have Emma in the match with Nia, have her sneak a win on Mickie James and build for a week to Emma versus Sasha. Let Sasha win. You're going to put her in the match with Alexa Bliss anyway. But it's obvious that we were going to get Nia versus Sasha, so why not just build for an extra week toward that if you're going to make it that obvious? But I did like the matches, so, you know, maybe the end justifies the means.
I feel you, man. Hey, guys, if you don't mind, tweet out the link to our podcast. Tag both of us, if you would be so inclined. Yeah, Alicia was rough, and I do think it was ring rust, as you mentioned. Her first match in 2 months, I think, since maybe Extreme Rules. And, yeah, it showed. It was tough. Emma hit a sick wheelbarrow suplex into the apron.
Emma is so good, and they wouldn't let her do anything. And then she started speaking up about it, and now they're punishing her. So, like, we're never going to get to see great Emma again. Like, not really. We could see it in fits and starts like this. While I was watching it, I was going, damn, I want to see that woman against Sasha in a real, like, 12-minute match, one-on-one, or against Bayley, or against Alexa. But I'm never going to see that.
Somebody says Emma looked rusty, too. Too many vacations. No. In no way did Emma look rusty.
No. She was rabbit out there. I like
Emma almost got a pin. I thought she did get a pin. Alicia maybe kicked out a little bit late.
Good.
Then the crowd was behind her. Sasha goes knee crazy as usual. I like that. It hasn't gotten old to me yet. Emma breaks up a bank statement, but ends up tapping out herself. I thought it was a good, quick match. Fine stuff. Backstage, Braun Strowman describes how much he loves beating the shit out of Roman Reigns in great, like, almost erotic detail, Alex.
Well, yeah, he's a man who loves beating people up.
It's practically a fanfic.
It was. He like there's a thing, like there's the when you read like interviews they have with serial killers, like they're always very, very methodic in how they describe. It's very poetic things that they see and why they like killing people. This man just doesn't do it with a knife or a gun. He beats people up with his fists and smashes them into canvas. But he's basically that. If they would let him murder people, he'd probably do it.
And he'd do very well at it. We have a Goldust vignette. He's had one match on TV since his turn in May, Alex.
I just want them to get to it.
He's going to die of natural causes before he gets another match.
What did we say? Like Starrcade 88? Like that's how long this dude's been around?
Yeah.
Like 88. Like people are going to be 30.
Dude, this will put it in perspective. I interviewed Flip Gordon recently. Flip Gordon, who is 2 years into wrestling, a 25-year-old man, was telling me how he grew up watching Cody Rhodes. Much less Goldust, much less Dusty Rhodes. He grew up watching Cody Rhodes.
Oh man. Like I want him back on my TV every week. I want it. He's done with R-Truth. They keep talking about like the vignette. He's gonna find a new hero and a new villain. Like, is he gonna be a manager? Is he gonna tag with somebody? Just get him back on my TV in a ring or near a ring, and not doing these things where he like gets in a director's chair and then kind of does that.
Yeah, I'd go sink or swim with him and Summer Rae. Like there are all these people who claim that Summer Rae is like super worker and stuff. I've never seen it. I haven't, but I would put her in this. I would put her in this spot and see how well she can do as his modern day Marlena. Maybe the rehash works. Maybe it doesn't. Like the rehash didn't work with Ted DiBiase's kid trying to be the $1 Million Man, but maybe Goldust can rehash his own thing and make it work modern day. It's tough to do without some of the mind games that he formerly played, but yeah, I want to see them at least give it a go. Why not?
If they did even a mini push with him, you would see them drag up all the old clips from the network and put them on YouTube like they did with the Great Khali, and that dude showed up for a night.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wanted to put it. Hey, we know kids, you've never seen this guy before, but he once beat the Undertaker. Like that's what their YouTube series was for the Great Khali. They could do that with Goldust.
You hear the Edge and Christian podcast, them laughing to themselves about Great Khali, like yanking the belt away from Jinder so he could have the photo of him holding it. And Edge was like, "Oh, he's still like that, is he?"
Oh man,
pretty good stuff. The Good Brothers beat Enzo Amore and Big Show after Enzo unleashes a Dr. Evil reference. The most recent Austin Powers movie, I believe, came out in 2003. 2003.
Yeah, the one he was referencing was from 1999. So
yeah, I'm just saying the last one came out then.
I know the most recent one was then.
But should when did Vern Troyer's sex tape come out? Because that's still way too old.
Oh,
when did he kiss in the hall in the Surreal Life?
I don't know. Oh man, like that dude's lived a life since he was first Mini-Me. Okay, fine. But if there's one thing, here's the thing: is like he's in the ring with a big bald guy, and he starts talking to Gallows and Anderson like about because they're bald that they look like Dr. Evil and Mini-Me, and Show's like, yeah, I can kind of see it.
They're bearded.
Yeah, I know, like yes, because if there's one thing that Dr. Evil and Mini-Me were known for, it was their big, scratchy black beards.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of guys that work better for that. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So we're getting a match, which means Enzo's getting his ass kicked. That's what an Enzo Amore tag match means. Big Show gave like the most half-assed tag me lean, where he like was still standing up straight and reaching, because in reality, had he leaned, he would have reached all the way across the ring. Big Cass came out for a distraction, and Enzo gets beaten while Show is taken out looking at Big Cass. All fair and square, to be quite honest. Big Cass just strolled out there. He didn't do anything.
Nope.
Enzo and Show beat up they beat up Cass after. This is like the most not happening feud. And every single week I do those YouTube numbers and they're through the roof. What is capturing people's interest that isn't for us, Alex?
Is it possible that WWE has like a warehouse full of like bots that are viewing YouTube?
What's the thing? You remember when Homer Simpson was getting disability and he had the thing that just click, click?
Yeah, the little bird that would pack the keys.
Maybe Enzo set one of those up to get less heat on himself. Wow, this guy draws. No, guys, it's not bots. Everybody keeps saying that. It's far too consistent for Enzo and Cass for it to be that. Otherwise, it would be higher across the board. I'm sure plenty of it is bot traffic, but I mean, Jesus, like it's too consistent with those personalities for it to be.
I could not care less about and that's before all this stuff came out about Enzo. Like, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Hit us with that.
Well, I mean, like the thing with the bus, which just always seemed weird to me. Apparently, is a thing. Like, it's real, and it was because he was on the phone way too loud, like obnoxiously, obviously. Everyone can hear me, and I don't care.
Come on, and we all know those guys. Like, we're in line at the pharmacy or something, and somebody's got their Bluetooth in. Yeah, I made the deal this Thursday. That son of a bitch. Yeah, one of those guys.
It seems from what I gather, he was talking about how much money he was making in the way of people like buying his stupid headband with his hair sewn to it and talking about how they were dumb for doing it. So that's good. That's a good way of keeping up. So there's that, and then he's bringing. Here's what I love: Justin Barrasso, who I love, who works over at Sports Illustrated,
he does some awesome reporter. Great reporter.
The way that he described it, which I hope we was described to him by a source, a series of questionable people that he brought into the locker room. I love that it's a series of them and that they're questionable. That he brings in the locker room who take pictures and video of the wrestlers, which is not allowed at my gym like down the street. Like
I sent somebody on Raw a text that says, does Enzo bring questionable characters backstage? Or I said, did he? And the only answer I got back was, to say the least.
Oh my God.
That's all it's like enough confirmation where you can't write a story on it, but
yeah,
you can drop the news here, to say the least.
So
and the thing is, people generally like him is what I've been told, is that they had liked him before, and it's something that's happened recently has just it's not clicking. It's gone to his head, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, but you have that coupled with this feud between Big Cass and Big Show, which they're trying to get over Big Cass as a heel, which means they paint him like straight up basketball colored orange and make him extra glistening and big chain and bad music. And now he's a heel, and he's going up against Big Show, who we remember in recent memory, like Braun Strowman was struggling to put away. So the way to put over Cass is by having him just big boot Show in the head a couple of times. And yeah, he gets knocked out with a KO punch, but that's just what, it's just what Big Show does. And now, I guess we'll talk about this. They're going to have a match at SummerSlam with Enzo Amore suspended over the ring in a shark cage. And if you had told me that yesterday, I would have said that's a really funny joke. That's a really funny joke. That is what they would do. Ha ha ha! How droll it is to laugh. But no, they're actually doing it.
Yeah, since last November, it will be the third shark cage match they have had in WWE. They had one in NXT. They had, of course, Owens and Reigns with Jericho hung above, and then Enzo. Now, Justin LaBar made a pretty good observation, I thought. He said, given the current situation, the landscape, Enzo's probably like legit terrified of heights, and they're like, yeah,
that's what
okay.
I was thinking. But here's the thing, especially because after this really convoluted way of asking for the match that Big Cass does, he leaves. Kurt Angle says, wow, I really hope Enzo's not scared of heights. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a confirmation immediately that he is.
Yeah.
That he's scared to death of heights. They'll make it extra high just to screw with him. But he asks for him to just not be in the arena, and then to not be in Brooklyn, not in the state of New York. And they're like, hell, you could put him in a cage and throw away the key. And then Kurt Angle says, that gives me an idea. And I'm like, okay, screw all you guys. Just screw you. Stop doing this. And, who wants this? Who's clamoring for this? I
was more excited to see your reaction than anything in regards to this. Okay, what's up next? What do we got next? Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt segment. I cannot wait for football. I can't wait. I'll say this. At least Balor made a point that Bray Wyatt doesn't care that much about winning and losing. Because
that's good.
That is good. That's a point that should have been made a long time ago and never really was. It's the excuse I used years ago. And now Bray Wyatt starts winning.
Right.
And then they say it. Wyatt appears, tries to attack, gets thwarted, disappears. He's on the Titantron. I would rather be in Elamina, Alaska.
Wow.
Than to watch a Bray Wyatt promo.
Prop comedy! Only on the Fightful Wrestle podcast.
Yeah, I mean, that globe just sits here. Usually it sits back there, but right now the old $1 million belt my fiance, or my fiance at the time, my wife got me, is on display. Dean Ambrose defeated Cesaro. This match kicked a ton of ass. Like, it kicked way more ass than it had any business kicking for like a pointless Raw match, but you get a bunch of guys involved emotionally in a situation. Like, I think Cesaro and Sheamus have been playing their roles as supporting characters in this storyline outstandingly well. Ambrose and Rollins have been nothing short of unbelievable. Cesaro tripped on his way to the ring. Corey Graves found that hilarious. Dean Ambrose is getting better at switching up his offense. I did note that his moves from the inside to the outside always look bad, though. They had the crowd hooked on this superplex tease where Cesaro was like making them think he was going to send him outside. You knew he wasn't.
He wasn't going to do it. But the way he did it, he was so casually deliberating on whether or not to murder Dean Ambrose. Yeah. Like, that's basically what he was doing, because a suplex from that height would kill a man. And he was just looking over his shoulder, like gauging how far would I have to do it to get him into the crowd, or like hung up on the barricade. Like, it was great. It was excellent. And you cannot tease that without paying it off somehow. Like, in some match where there's all kinds of tables stacked up over there, I need to see a Cesaro deadlift over the ring post suplex on a bunch of tables. Get it done.
Sure. For a pointless Raw match, this was just a blast. Ambrose wins. Rollins saves him from a beatdown. The crowd is stoked. Just amazing storytelling. And then Rollins leaves Ambrose hanging on a fist bump. Like, I'm talking from body language to crowd reaction to facial expressions. A-plus stuff, Alex. Man, this is good. This was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have an attachment to the Shield. Like, I don't. I'm not nostalgic for when they used to be together. When Seth Rollins turned on them, it didn't like ruin my life. Like, I don't have that thing that I know a lot of fans do, that like they miss that so much. And so if they get back together or they don't, I don't really care either way, but this is really executed very well objectively, and I can appreciate that. What I was watching this whole time is I was watching it and going like, Dean Ambrose really likes to push himself when he's in the matches with the really good workers that he knows everyone thinks are great workers. he can push himself and do great work. When he's in the ring with a guy who people don't think is that great, then he's like, cool, I'm just going to slack off. That's why I hated his feud with The Miz, because he didn't push himself at all. And so The Miz has to pull himself up to the people he's working opposite. Like Dolph Ziggler brought a lot of great stuff with The Miz because Dolph is a deceptively good worker. When Dean was working against AJ Styles, he was never better. When he was working against Kevin Owens, like last year, 2016, 2015, he was great. Tonight against Cesaro, he was great because he knew he had to up his game or he was going to look like a fool in there. And still, there's stuff that he does that I just go, I'm not going to get behind the wacky clothesline ever. I'm never going to get behind it. Stop doing it. His jumping armpit to your face off the top rope, stop doing that. Stop doing your running gentle push through the rope suicide dive. But a lot of other things he did were great. So I'm going to nitpick it because the idea of you have to make me believe that Cesaro's struggling to beat weak-ass Dean Ambrose, you know, that's a tough thing for me because I know how great Cesaro is and I know how bad I think Dean Ambrose is in the ring. But his character work, especially in this arc, has been, bar none, excellent.
From a storyline perspective, though, Cesaro is not that strong and Dean Ambrose is not that weak.
True.
Like, I mean,
True.
James Ellsworth could be Braun Strowman, maybe, if they wrote him to be. Vice versa. Like, Braun Strowman could be out there skipping to the ring in hammer pants if they wanted him to.
They could.
Now, would it get over as well? Hell no, it wouldn't. But I'm just saying.
No.
I could argue this is some of Dean Ambrose's best work of his main roster career. I've loved it.
It's the best match he's had since the TLC match with Styles.
Akira Tozawa defeated Daivari. Tozawa is really finding his groove, not just on 205 Live, but Raw as well. There was no point in this rematch but to get Titus on commentary. That was it. And I'm okay with that. And I like the respect that the entire commentary booth showed Titus.
Yes. I am so happy for Titus. From going back to that ridiculous suspension he got for touching Vince McMahon to work himself back up to this, where he got
pretty rough.
This got over somehow. This ridiculous bit that he was doing. We talked about it at the time. His post-match press conferences where there was nobody there but Tom Phillips, those things were gold. So you knew he had it in him. And there's, to me, like the most I smiled all night was when they set up the Titus and then he and Cruz and Tozawa look up in the sky and go, worldwide? Like that, I'll mark out for that every time. And I love Neville coming in and being like, why would you agree to this match against a dude you just beat to take away his championship hopes? He's got nothing left to lose. Like, that's really smart. Like, and this is, again, why I watch a lot of these things and go, why would somebody agree to this match unless you were threatening to fire them if they didn't do it? Like, it's only going to hurt your chances at the pay-per-view in 2 weeks. Like, a last man standing match that proves nothing is a terrible way to get yourself injured before you have to a titles opportunity.
Normally we could say money, but as I've brought up millions of times, it seems money has never been an object in this outside of a couple finds.
Is say that, and it solves all of those problems, all those logical problems.
Nia Jax murdered Dana Brooke, so I guess she won. That clothesline was nasty, and I had somebody on my Twitter, not to pick on you, but Alex, I know you see this a lot with women wrestling too. Like, there are some fans who will take shit a little too personally about these girls. You know what I mean? Like, it gets a little weird. And like, people were celebrating Dana Brooke getting hit really hard, and I'm like, you know what? Do I think Dana Brooke is a good talent? Not really. Do I think she should be in NXT right now? Yeah, I really do. For her in-ring, for her physical well-being, for a lot of things. She got heaved like a sack of potatoes overhead by Nia Jax too. Like, Nia Jax is not safe. And this ain't just like the popular hopping on the bandwagon thing. It's it was rough. You don't clothesline somebody there.
Right. There was that moment. I went, oh my God, that was great. And I was like, oh no, that wasn't great.
She almost hit her head on the bottom rope.
Right. It was not. Yeah. It was the spot itself was fun. Like Nia shrugging off that ridiculous cartwheel back elbow handspring thing and then running after Dana was a great spot. It just wasn't executed properly. And Nia grabbing Mickie James by the hair and throwing her 15 feet, helicoptering her across the ring. That's a great spot. I don't know if that's executed properly. Like the thing is that if your question was after she injured Bayley, are they going to talk to Nia about not hurting people anymore, maybe taking it down a notch? The answer was this match. This is all the evidence you have to know that they're not telling her to do that ever. They want her to be this giant monster who hurts people. If she actually hurts somebody, whoops. Like the thing is that I don't like is the thing that Alexa Bliss says on commentary. You feel like that's what people upstairs believe about Bayley. I like people who aren't weak and don't get injured. Like you hear that about Vince, that if you get hurt, that's your fault, and he judges you about that forever. So, like the idea that, hey, you know what? You're in the ring with Nia. She's gonna hurt you. So your job is to not get hurt. Don't let her hurt you. As opposed to maybe you make the giant woman be safer with her partners. But no, because that would show weakness, and I hope that's not the case.
Somebody said, wouldn't you celebrate a guy getting hit really hard? No, I would not celebrate a green wrestler hitting another green wrestler really hard. I wouldn't like it. If it's Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman's pretty green, say Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe, and they're duking it out, and they're doing it within the confines of their own personal safety and all that stuff, yeah, sure. Nia Jax and Dana Brooke ain't that, man. Like, that's too very, like, when they were called up, it was questionable to begin with. Braun Strowman defeated Roman Reigns. What'd you think of this match, Alex?
Great. Let's watch them do it all the time. Let's just have them do it when it means something. Like
it always means something to me, honestly, somehow with them.
Yeah, well, no, it's true. Again, in a vacuum, this is a great idea. But nobody explained. I was waiting for this when it was announced over the weekend. Braun versus Roman in a last man standing match 2 weeks before SummerSlam. I said to myself, well, I can't wait to see it, but why is it happening? Like, you announced this giant match a month before the show. So then you had to fill all these weeks leading up to it. And then what you do that is have these same guys fight each other a bunch, which means the novelty of watching them fight each other is kind of worn off by the time the match rolls around, the one we actually want to see. In this case, these two guys, just for pride, are trying to beat each other to death.
And I buy it from them.
I buy it from these guys, absolutely, that's true. But at the same point, like, somebody should be in their ear, like their agent or whatever, who's like, hey, man, you don't have to do this. You're going to it's possible you could get hurt, and then you would miss SummerSlam. Like, somebody should be there. I don't know who it is, a friend of one of these guys. Somebody, does Roman still have friends? The Usos are on a different show. But one of them saying, hey, dude, do you want to take this match against Braun? He could really hurt you. Anybody can have that question for Roman, and then he can blow it off. But that question wasn't raised. It was just like, this is the main event tonight. We're going to be in it. And there was no danger of them possibly, injuring each other before this giant match they have in 2 weeks. All that being said, the match itself was great. A lot of fun.
Somebody says, I was asking myself why for this match. Because Braun Strowman isn't finished with Roman Reigns. He never will be.
Right.
It's until they die, they're not done. Like, Braun Strowman should interrupt Roman Reigns' Hall of Fame speech and kick his ass.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it should be. Yeah. I love that Braun Strowman only busts out that drop kick.
Yep.
Special occasions. He's still adding to his repertoire as well. They hit hard. Grass is green. Reigns uses steel stairs, counters a pop-up into a Superman punch. Then you think that the Samoan drop through the table is something until Braun Strowman channels his father and softball heaves but not softball heaves because he overhanded it.
Yeah.
Overhands an office chair into Roman Reigns' face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, the velocity on that thing. That thing, somebody from the Blue Jays, I hope, was at the game when hit the radar gun on that thing, because I think it was going at least 89, 90. It
was incredible.
He threw that thing really fast and really hard right into his face. I think had Roman Reigns' face not been in the way, that chair might be orbiting the earth as we speak. Like, he threw that thing hard. It was something I'd never seen before. It was like a oh my god moment, which is, again, these two dudes will have those every time they wrestle. They'll figure something out. It was great. I loved it. The ending I didn't love, but the rest of the match was phenomenal.
WWE's getting very creative with, they did away with chair shots to the head and stuff. They've gotten kind of creative with getting some shots like that in there. Very, very clever. Reigns puts his whole body into a spear on the ramp. And for some reason, the ref stops counting when Samoa Joe puts Roman Reigns into a chokehold. I put my match ratings and analysis up. You can check those out every morning following Raw, SmackDown pay-per-views. I took like a 1/4 of a point off just for that because it didn't make a bit of sense, Alex. Why would they stop the count because of Samoa Joe? What was the point of that?
I want someone to ask the ref. Like, this is what Corey Graves could make a great deal out of this. He could figure out what people are talking about and then make believe as though he's done some follow-up reporting. So I talked to the ref. He was so shocked by Samoa Joe interfering that he lost count and had to start over. Like, that's fine. That's a fun joke. He's only counting to 10. That's the joke. But like, I don't get it. Like, so Braun was down for, let's be generous, 25 seconds before he staggered back to his feet. And, he lost. Like, he won, but he lost. And so, the only reason that he won was because the other guy who's in the match with them 2 weeks from now came in and hates Roman more than he hates Braun, so he choked him out. And then Braun got in the ring after the 10 count and did his giant up in the arms thing, up in the air, and he roared like he'd won something. And I was like, that's not what Braun should do. That's what The Miz would do, but not every heel is a coward who takes credit when he doesn't win stuff. I think that Braun should have been pissed at Samoa Joe for interfering in his match. That's what Braun, the character that the WWE has created, it's more that guy than the guy who's like, yeah, I won something, when we all know he didn't win shit. That was the part of it I didn't like, as well as the ref just stopped his count for no reason.
People keep asking about the Ronda Rousey news. It's coming. And if it's what I've been told it is cool news. So this match, Samoa Joe chokes out Roman Reigns. Got to get on the show somehow. No Hardys on this show. What do you think's up there?
I don't know.
Because they got to be scrambling for something here.
But who are they going to put them up against? Like, are they going to put them on the pre-show against Gallows and Anderson? There's nobody left for them to face. Who's left in the tag division? Nobody. Yeah. So, like, you put together a nostalgia match. You like, I don't know. Who do you put together for them to face? I don't know. But they're the Hardys, and like, they have their return to the WWE since WrestleMania has been a giant story. They just gave them the Woken gimmick. They had to be on the show somehow, and yet because Dawson ruptured his biceps tendon.
Unfortunate.
God, that's awful.
2 rough injuries in a week out of Bayley and Dawson. And I started up that Fightful.com injury report because at the time, like, everybody was hurt. And everybody was always asking for updates and stuff. So head over to Fightful.com. We got injury report updates over there that we post every few days. But I was looking at it last week, and I was like, it's pretty bare. Like, Global Force has more injuries than anybody. That ain't the case now.
Yeah, this is really bad news because the Revival are amazing. And at SummerSlam, they would have had one of the Hardys' greatest matches the Hardys have ever had. Would have been against the Revival at SummerSlam, I guarantee it. And it would have put the Revival on the map. It would have catapulted them to something huge. And now who knows what we'll see from the Revival when they get back.
So this is just me spitballing, throwing something out there. Say they were like, okay, we'll do a 6-man tag instead. We got Anderson, Gallows, and Dash against the Hardys. Who would their third guy be?
Well, the only guy they've been teaming with in that way has been Finn Balor. He's busy. I don't know who else is on the Raw roster.
I'd drag out Devon from backstage. Just do that.
That would be fun. Yeah, no, this is so frustrating to me because I'm such a huge Revival fan that they were on the cusp of something. And I'm a huge fan of this new thing that the Hardys are trying out where they're the woken Hardys. And I don't get to see that this week. And it's been rough. I don't know. It would be kind of cool since it is SummerSlam. If the Hardys could do a cross promotional thing with SmackDown and face somebody, I don't know who. Yeah. Like have them face Breezango. I don't know. Like or Harper and Rowan. I don't know. Something. Because you can't keep the Hardys off a SummerSlam card. You can't do it. They've been huge since they came back. So,
guys, this show is brought to you by TrigTent.com. Head over to TrigTent.com. You are going to get, whether you're liberal or conservative, a really unfiltered look at politics, uncensored. Definitely go check that out. Not biased. You're going to get the best and worst, whichever way you lean. TrigTent.com. Head over there. Check that out. Somebody had said, let me see what Corbin Clone said on our chat. He said, the crowd's constant 10 threw the ref off like that dick friend that shouts out random numbers while you're counting. Now, not to pick on Corbin Clone, but if a referee can't count to 10 on his own, right, I don't know what he's doing in that role.
Well, but that's the joke. I don't know. I mean,
that is the definition of you had one job.
Right. What they should do is they should rewrite the WWE rule book and says, upon interference during a 10 count in a last man standing match, the ref must start his count over. You know, because they make up rules whenever they want to. So make up this one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I think I'm doing this members only show Friday, guys, with David Bixenspan. Hopefully our schedules line up. We're tentatively planning, I think, 2 p.m. Friday. Gonna talk to him about his writing career, his podcasting career. He's got a very successful podcast. And of course, we'll tell the What Culture story. That's the one that most people have always wanted to hear about. That is an interesting one, to say the least. I can say this. It's probably my only really negative experience I've had in work. The only one. Some indifferent ones, but that's the only negative one. That'll be something worth checking out. So go register for free at Fightful.com. You'll get access to those Fightful.com forums. Of course, you get great news, exclusives, podcasts, photos, videos, results. You can check events over at Fightful.com. We have an NXT TakeOver Brooklyn post show coming up on, Saturday the 19th. And then SummerSlam, Sunday the 20th. That one will probably go a little long because the show is long. And then Saturday the 26th, myself, Showdown Joe, Carlos Toro, post Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor. Damn. Could Jimmy have picked a better 14-month period to have started a crossover website?
It's crazy.
Brock Lesnar's going to fight. Then he's going to fight John Jones. Then he's going to go into the WWE. Then Conor McGregor's going to go box. Meanwhile, everybody's just going to fail a drug test across every single one of them. Roman Reigns, John Jones, Brock Lesnar. Why not?
Ronda Rousey, probably coming to WWE. That's another thing. Like, that's all, all that stuff.
Hey, I didn't say that.
Possibly.
I didn't say
Maybe,
that.
Allegedly. Supposedly.
I didn't say that yet. I didn't say that yet. What do you think Brian Kendrick's doing these days?
He's in a feud with Jack Gallagher on 205 Live.
Yeah, that ain't his priority anymore. All right, guys. You can follow Alex at Pawlowski IV. You can follow me at Sean Ross Sapp. Follow us at Fightful Online, cross-platform, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We got it all for you. Please subscribe, like, thumbs up. I appreciate you all. You've been great. Thank you for joining in the live chat. Until next time, we're out.